Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to PWT Talks NXT. We're talking NXT for October the 1st, 2024. There are 2 shopping days until my birthday, so keep that in mind. This is the first episode on the CW network after we left USA. Do they mute the holy shit chant? They sure do. They mute it even worse. They just don't let any sound in. They just mute it for as long as it goes on. Real people are going to say what they say, folks. You need to not. I don't understand the logic of muting a crowd. It is. Doesn't that drive home to them how dumb the whole thing is? Okay, so we had only 4 matches on this show. And it's the 4 matches we knew we were going to get. So there was no filler. And there weren't a lot of segments. So we're not going to have a lot of different things to talk about, but we will talk about them. I'm Kelly Wells, and you can find me on social media at Spooky Milk. Nate.
Nate Lindberg. You can check the things I do out at natelindberg.com.
All right, our main event was Trick Williams versus Ethan Page. Nate, did they run out of time? This felt very rushed.
It did feel a little rushed at the end, just
this
a little
is an
bit.
NXT championship match, and it was the 3rd longest of the 4 matches on the show. The only one that it beat was a tag team match that it was, just a TV tag team match to move the storyline forward that wouldn't have gone 10:55 in another week, but there were only 4 matches, so they did what they did. Trick puts down Ethan Page in 12:31 with the trick shot. A full third of this match was during the commercial break. So we did not see a significant part of it. And CM Punk's involvement was, I don't want to say heelish exactly, but Williams saved himself by using Punk and then hit the trick shot, and then Punk hit Page with the GTS afterwards, I guess because Page is a jerk. Not a good enough reason, but almost everything Punk does is heelish. So I guess it's keeping with the theme of what he does, because he could easily be a babyface in this story with Drew McIntyre, but elects not to. Anyway, Trick Williams is your new champion. Makes you wonder why the change in the first place, but I guess they thought they really could make Page seem like a big deal out of the gate, even if they did plan on Trick being champion for a longer time. Trick, as recently as a week or 2 ago, did not seem like all that important a part of this show. So now in the CW era, he is thrust right back into the limelight. You got Trick, one of the, I don't know, 4 or 5 2-time NXT champions there have been to this point. I don't know. I think there are about 5 of them. But I won't sit here and try to remember them all. Maybe I'll look that up. But Nate, on this main event.
So this kind of went pretty much how I thought it was going to go. You were saying, why the change in the first place, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. This is something that we talked about in the last couple of weeks. I had a feeling Trick was going to win this. They wanted a feel good moment for the CW debut. I need to mute Discord, or man, that's going to keep going off in my ear. But they there we go. Do not disturb. Wow, my friends just started talking, and that completely threw me off. But yeah, Trick Williams, they needed a feel-good moment for the CW debut, and I think they pulled that off. And what you said about Ethan Page, he comes in, he's thrust into the main event, wins the title, and then he held. I forget what was the record that they were touting on TV, like the shortest reign, or the quickest to the title, and then the most PLEs consecutively main evented. I don't know. It's a weird record to hold, I guess, but whatever. But they can use that and kind of make him if not the top heel, one of the top heels in NXT. So I think they accomplished both of those things. You know, keeping Trick, giving Trick, that feel good moment, and kind of making Ethan Page feel a little bit heelish. In terms of CM Punk, I thought the GTS that he gave at the end was basically a receipt for Ethan Page using the GTS earlier in the night. Um, I, uh, I liked it. I, I thought CM Punk played pretty much fair down the middle throughout the entire match. A couple little things here and there, but for the most part, as fair as a special guest referee can really be. And then it was after the 1, 2, 3 where it was like, you used my move. All right, I'm gonna do it right back to you. And I don't know. I think that worked. I don't know if we're gonna end it there, if there's gonna be a continued CM Punk, Ethan Page type of a thing in NXT. Wouldn't surprise me. Um, CM Punk has kind of a special place in his heart for NXT, and with NXT being on broadcast TV now, a whole new, kind of a, I don't want to say a reboot for NXT, but Shawn Michaels, was it the other day? I forget where I was reading it, but he said something. There's a lot coming for NXT. Bigger, better things that we weren't expecting, or kind of things that you would expect them to say and kind of tout and promote, a show on a new network. But I I'm hoping we're going to see some really cool things, and something like CM Punk sticking around at NXT and having a feud with Ethan Page, even if it isn't over the title, even if it's a background feud or something, where CM Punk just kind of shows up because he happens to be at the PC or something and interferes with what Ethan Page is doing or something along those lines. I think would be kind of cool, and it'd be a good ratings draw. I liked this match. I thought it was a great way to end this. I want to call it a PLE. It wasn't a PLE, but a PLE. It's really what it felt like to me all night. Like Kelly said to start the show, very heavy on wrestling, which was great in my opinion. We don't get that a lot on NXT TV anymore. We had almost 30 minutes 2 weeks in a row. It was like 37 and 32 minutes of wrestling, if I'm not mistaken. The last couple of weeks. So getting all this wrestling tonight, even though it was only 4 matches, it was nice. It was kind of a nice. It felt like like I said, not just a PLE light either. It felt like your typical like Saturday type PLE, just coming in at exactly 2 hours instead of 3. Trick is the champ. I think this is great. He had a CVV interview earlier, or that dropped earlier today. And there was one thing that I noticed in that interview, and I'm pretty sure this interview was taped a little while ago. He's had a few interviews now with the NXT superstars in the Performance Center, same set and everything. So I'm sure this was done, like a week or so ago, maybe more. But Trick Williams even says he's like, I'm happy to be the face of NXT, and then kind of like almost backtracks. I wouldn't say backtracks when he says, but almost like just body language, just like, oh shit, I don't know if I should have said that. So I don't know. That was even just some more foreshadowing for me tonight. That my prediction that Trick Williams was going to become a 2-time NXT champion was going to happen. Thumbs up.
You can email us at pwtorchnxt@gmail.com. This comes from Kevin Catani. Salutations, gents. I hope this email finds you well. I'd be remiss if I didn't start this email off with a good old whoop that trick. I really like the closing sequence of the match, and I think this title change was a great way to end the inaugural CW broadcast. I'll be interested to see how this title run goes for Trick. Do you think this will be more of a transitional run, or will he hold it through the end of the year, plus or minus? Lastly, and I'm sure you'll spend some time on this already, but it's a two-part question. A, what is NXT's legacy on USA? And B, what do you both hope to see on the CW in the near future? Thanks as always. Go VIP and listen to 8YB. Office hours are now over. The Professor, Kevin P. Catani, PhD. Legacy on USA, I think, is a big question because, man, did they go through a lot of changes in their relatively short time there. Yeah, they, as Steve Repsher says in the chat, looks like they've shifted from a black and gold era to a black and silver. Yes, they are doing black and silver. all the way down to the belts and the ring ropes and stuff like that. So we are going to go home to Orlando to a slightly tweaked um, scene because it's the NXT letters are still blocky, but they're blocky in a different way.
They don't have that dumb points on the end of them. It's great. I love it.
I kind of like the points.
Oh, I didn't. I thought it was so dumb.
Yeah, it wasn't. So
It
this
was.
is
Try to
they
try to put
went
that
to.
logo in a square. You can't. It's off
I don't
center.
want
I
to
don't
put it
like
in a
it.
square. That's
Well,
why it's
but you
good.
do it. You do it every week when you put up your report on PWTorch.com.
Right.
And it's off.
You can
And
put
if
anything in a
the
square, but a
logo's
square
off
is
center, and
large
it
enough.
drives me crazy. I don't like it. I like the fact
Oh,
that
I
it's now
love
all
that.
even.
Oh, you are so concrete sequential. You must be a dullard, frankly.
No, just
Um,
neurodivergent.
oh God, that's worse. um, oh boy, here we go. So anyway, yes, it changed just a little bit. Feels like, yeah, it doesn't feel like a big step away from some of the things they've done. Although they have, for whatever reason, had like 8 or 10 different like slight tweaks to the logo in the last few years. It just feels like it's always been time for a change. But it was indeed this time for a change. And oh man, those belts, Nate.
Oh, I love them.
Oh, they look really, really good. We did have
They're
HBK and HHH bringing out those belts at the beginning. Go ahead.
they're already up for sale on WWE Shop. I almost bought one. I'm not gonna lie. That's how much I like it.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet. Anything on those guys opening the show? I know it wasn't
So
anything crazy, but yeah.
it may not have been anything crazy, but I said to myself during this opening tonight, I don't remember the last time I was this hyped for an NXT show. And I wasn't necessarily going, yeah, I mean, I was a little excited coming into the show tonight because of what was going on, CW and all of that. But once the show kicked off, HBK's music hit. He comes down to the ring. He debuts these new title belts. Triple H comes. I I was in the middle of playing this video game that I have been playing nonstop for um, a long time, at least 117 hours in the last 2 weeks, and I hate to admit that on air, but I am going to. I looked away from that game and just was focusing 100% on what was going on the screen. And for somebody with ADD, that is not easy to do. Something has to really capture you, and that's what happened. Um, Many times throughout the show that like I'm just focused on what's going on. And but that intro tonight, I thought it was energetic. It had that bit of a nostalgia feel with hearing HBK's music kick off the show. But not only is it the nostalgia feel, business is going to happen, things are about to happen, because it's the man behind the scenes now. And then same thing with Triple H. It was great to hear both of them get the ovations they got. And debuting, like I said, debuting those titles, I thought that they're so nice, they're so clean. I still like the original NXT title, or no, sorry, not the original. Original was the Big X, the one they had after that. Sorry. I still think that's my favorite, but I think this is a very, very, very close second for both the men's and women's titles. They're very clean, they're modern. They still kind of have a big gold shape to them, which they have in the past, which I really like, being that is my favorite belt. Um, so yeah, I thought this was a great way to kick off the show. It wasn't wrestling, but it was two all-time greats that are now running the show, kicking things off, and kicking them off with the bang with those new titles, as far as I'm concerned.
Steve in the chat said they can't change the North American belt, can they?
They might.
They might, but I would like a scene where they're trying and they go walk into Obafemi and they're like, "We're gonna need that belt." He's like, "Come and
No.
take it from me."
Yeah.
um, and of course they can't. and then it's awkward, and then they're like, okay, well, this one could stay the same. Um, but I do not think that they need to change that one. But we will find out in 1 week's time. Okay.
Well,
As
I've got a theory. I've got a theory, and I don't like it because that's my favorite belt in NXT. I've always called it the pretty belt on this show. I've kind of decided I want to have a little bit of a belt collection. I already have a couple. And the North American title's the next one I wanted to buy. It has not been on WWE Shop for months and months, and they haven't replenished it. So I'm like, why would they do that unless they're going to change the title?
oh, for dumb. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. The other part of Katani's email was he was asking what this Trick thing would be about. Is it transitional? I would say no. I think that Trick is that guy on this brand and will be that guy on CW for a while. Trick could move up now, and if they had a spot for him that was absolutely can't miss, then I would say do it. But my read is that they don't have that spot right now. It's not obvious enough that really they should just keep him down there, continue to season him, have him work on that swagger as a champion. They had him work on, being that guy, but chasing the championship, being that guy who had it, but failed and then had to win it back. He's getting a lot of reps that are very useful. I really think that they consider Trick to be a can't miss prospect, and I consider him to be the same. And so if they want to take their time with him and get it right, I can dig that. Okay. After that segment where Trips, oh, Kitten.
Which one is that? Because they all have awesome names.
Do I still have you? Okay.
I'm
My
here.
Kitten is unplugging things from
I
my
I
from
asked
my
I asked
computer.
which one it was because they all have awesome names, and then you didn't answer because I don't think you could hear me.
I couldn't hear you. It was Admiral Soup Shoes.
Yeah, all right. Admiral Soup Shoes.
Or just Soup. If she rolls over this way, I'll
I
show
would
her
call her Admiral
to
Soup
the
Shoes
gang.
all the time.
She is fantastic, but she's a little squirrely. All right. There she is.
Hey, there she is.
She's a doof.
Admiral Soup Shoes.
Yep.
Love
She's
it.
something else. Okay. Well, our opening match was Giulia versus Roxanne Perez. This was the second longest match of the night. We still haven't talked about the longest one. Roxy won this one. In fact, the heels won everything but the main event. Giulia had things in hand and was extremely dominant in this match. It is worth noting that she got almost all of the offense in this thing. She probably didn't during the commercial. Oh, and by the way, fare thee well split screen commercials. They are seemingly a thing of the past. But Giulia dominated this match, but Roxy got her opening when Cora Jade showed up in a hoodie. It's very silly when they have the person in the hoodie and then they do the reveal afterwards. It's like this person has never covered themselves with a hoodie. Why did they do that to come to the ring this time? But whatever, wrestling is wrestling. Cora Jade attacks Giulia to leave her open to pop rocks. And Roxy is your winner and still champion at 12:58. So Giulia's got her thing with Cora Jade, it would seem. And she also seemingly has a thing with Stephanie Vaquer, but Stephanie was more about having a thing for the championship. And she pointed that at Giulia basically because she was suggesting that Giulia was the no doubt next champion. And she still is probably the next champion, but it wasn't on this night. So Roxy still champ, and Giulia, yeah, she'll have a couple of things to overcome on weekly TV, Nate.
No, I like this match quite a bit. Like you said, Giulia on the offensive for the most part, the entirety of it. Um, I started to have my money on Giulia, to be honest with you, throughout the course of this match. I thought this because like I kind of had it. I don't know. I think I said last week like a 60-40 or something like that for this match. 60 Giulia and 40 Roxy, and I started really leaning towards Giulia a little bit more as the match went on, and then all of a sudden, boom, I see somebody attack her, and I'm like, hey, there's Cora Jade. Yeah, before the reveal, like it was pretty obvious to me who that was, especially with the timing, and we kind of we've known that Cora Jade probably get back in the ring pretty soon at this point. Um, I think it works. I mean, Roxy, she's had a pretty decent run as champion right now, as her heel champion run. Don't necessarily think it's time to take the belt off of her just yet. I think she's still got a bit more to do as champion. Giulia now has an opponent in Cora Jade because she cost her the title. So Cora Jade can, there's what Giulia is going to be doing for the next, month or so, as feuding with Cora Jade, and then. As you said, Stephanie Verker, she said that she was going to challenge the next person that has the belt, and she did definitely strongly imply that it was going to be Giulia, that she was going to be fighting for it. So I think that can just throw some fuel into the flames for the feud between or this inevitable feud between Roxanne Perez and Stephanie Verker. I'm looking forward to that. I think that could have some quite a bit quite a bit to get behind there, and kind of sink our teeth into. Same thing with Cora Jade. I really liked what Cora was doing before she got injured. She was kind of leaning into this heel character a bit more, and had a bit more of an edge to her. She was attacking people a bit more. She seemed like she was starting to settle into her groove. So I'm hoping now that she's had some time off and kind of time to think and hopefully stew about what this character should be, that we see that. She's a good wrestler. So I'm hoping that that the kind of the promo abilities and kind of the character work is what we're going to see improve on her here, and she can kind of just hopefully settle back into the role that she was in, but just a little bit better. Hopefully she doesn't miss a step. That's really what I'm trying to say. um yeah, I think I covered the things I wanted to talk about.
Steve also added, and Delta's coming. Yes, indeed, Delta is coming, and we got a shot of her walking down an interstate, and then taking the junction or the exit that led to NXT. So Delta is on the home stretch to showing up. So for anyone who thought they weren't going to bang, 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 bring these women in, it would appear that they are going to. They are going to bring them in, bang, bang, bang. So Delta will show up relatively soon, seemingly on the heel side of things. The heel side of things has been very strong. So it's not like they need a lot of them. But yeah, they will be doing that. David Hogan also goes big picture here. It says, I'm really hoping. Oh my goodness. I'm really hoping. He didn't say that. My cat is wrapped around my foot with her claws because she wants attention. David Hogan says, I'm really hoping that after the success of tonight's show that NXT stays on the road here and there. The energy from the crowd was electric. It sure was. And you'd have to think that those cheering suits in the crowd were very happy with the way that show went off. So they can't all be like this, and it's important for NXT to have that home base because they're all there learning and everything. But yeah, occasional shows out there like this are really important. But I think just going on the road for these PLEs is probably enough. Yeah,
I know in the CVV interview that Trick gave that came out today, there was another town that he mentioned. So there's obviously St. Louis next week. So there was one other town that they're going to be going on the road with, but he said it. He made it seem like they are going to be continuing these shows on the road kind of more frequently. Didn't really give any more than that, but that was the impression that he left me with.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Okay. That is two of our four matches. Zachary Wentz versus Wesley. That was the longest match on the show. That was a street fight. All of these matches had commercials during them. Thanks, WWE. But 13 minutes and 32 seconds with double knees with chains around his knees in kind of a weird looking spot. But these two definitely know how to have a match that does look like a blood feud. Wesley gets his win back, as one would think. I would think this is probably the end of it, and this is as much as we will see out of Wentz before he goes to TNA, but they could still have something in store, I guess. But in 13 and a half minutes, Wesley wins. They didn't linger on this afterwards. We don't know what is next for Wesley. I don't know what he could possibly have to prove before he goes main roster, but he did beat Zach Wentz, and that was that, Nate.
I agree. The only thing he's got left to prove in NXT is to win the NXT championship. And with Ethan Page, with Trick, you know what? Trick Williams won the title tonight. That's right. So we have a face champion. I was still thinking Ethan Page is champion. With Trick Williams as the champion, maybe Wesley does. Maybe he does challenge for the title. That would be. I mean, we've seen the two of them get in the ring before, I think. But I mean that's going to be a hell of a match, especially with a more heel Wesley, kind of this more edge to him that he's got. I think that'd be really cool. But I do think Wesley is ready for the main roster, especially now with this character. If he was to kind of take, I don't want him to leave just yet, because I think he's got a little bit more of this wave to ride, of this more dark and kind of heel Wesley. But if he was to move up the main roster with this character, I think it would work. They need to do something to kind of explain why he has this chip on his shoulder. But if they were to do that and do that well, I think it could work. But as far as the match now, when I was a kid, I loved street fights, but as I got older and I kind of understood what street fights are usually meant for, to hide weaknesses and things like that, I could kind of see through the cracks and understand what was going on. And street fights are not traditionally my favorite match. They're entertaining, but they're just usually fine. This I thought was great. I thought they did a really good job, as you said earlier, making this really feel like a blood feud. They're obviously very good friends. They know how to work together. And in the wrestling business, I've heard countless wrestlers say this in interviews and things. You hit your friends the hardest, and I think that's the case here. They went out there. They gave their bodies to one another and really put on a great show. The only thing that kind of left me going, was that weird wrap the chain around the knee and then jump on Zach Wentz spot. I'm like, that's probably going to hurt you more than him, dude, but whatever. Other than that, I thought they had a pretty good use of the weapons around the ring and just pretty good use of being outside the ring and not, I don't know, sorry, I guess using the gimmick, using the weapons to enhance the match rather than use it as a crutch, is I guess probably the best way to put it. I'd like to see a little bit more of MSK, or sorry, of the Rascals in TNA, in NXT. Jeez, it's getting late. I'm getting tired. I'd like to see more of the Rascals in NXT, but obviously with Trey injured right now, may not be in the cards. So maybe I don't know. Maybe all of a sudden, if this partnership with TNA keeps going for the foreseeable future, maybe in a few months, when Trey is is healed up, we wind up seeing them come to get some revenge or something like that. But until then, I have a feeling Wesley is going to be moving on to bigger and better.
Wesley is as a heel is completely killing it. That is what David Hogan says in the chat. He goes on, I would be concerned that Lee would get lost in the shuffle on the main roster. Carmelo is the perfect example not to come up too quick, in my opinion. Yeah, it's always bad to go up there too quick. I am certainly afraid of Lee being lost in the shuffle, particularly as he's a small dude. So you got to pick and choose and see who is not going to fight you on having to do the job to him and whatnot. And you got to find the right spot for him. I'm definitely worried about that, despite the massive amount of talent that he's clearly got. Carmelo Hayes, they're definitely doing something with him. They are doing a best of 7 series. They didn't announce it as that, and it's still not announced that they're going to have a 7th match, but they are. He and Andrade have been doing their series, so it's good that Carmelo is figured into something now, that he's getting regular TV time. They must like him, because he is on the show every single week, and he's getting more minutes in the ring than just about anybody. So that is a good thing. But yeah, bringing up a person and having nothing for them. I mean, Exhibit A is Kiana James. They brought her up. They have absolutely nothing for her. So I don't know. And I thought that would happen with her. I was very, very surprised they brought her up, and even more surprised that she was such an early pick in that draft. But oh well, I say. Okay, let's go to the one other match we had: Jada Parker and Lola Vice versus Fallon Henley and JC Jane. The heels win this one. The faction Fatal Influence at 10:55 with stereo knees to Lola Vice after Jada Parker walks out. Jada twice gets struck from behind, and both times thinks that it's Lola Vice, even though it doesn't make sense that it was. These are really stupid spots. These are really stupid when these happen, and it's not like she can't just go back and watch the tape. Oh boy, this really, really makes baby faces look dumb, and I cannot stand stupid stuff like this. But the whole point was to have it so Kalani, instead of Jada and Lola, her real partners are Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, who are going to be working a 6-woman match against Fatal Influence a week from now in St. Louis. So that's what this is really about. So on the saga of the ladies, Nate.
I just realized I hear you. I don't know why I hear you coming out of my speakers, but I do. Anyway, I was trying to figure that out, but I mean, it was an okay match. Like you said, I hate it when baby faces do stupid stuff, and I mean, even just down to the whole not trusting each other thing. Like, I can understand not trusting each other and yada yada, but like they're playing it up to almost a comedic point at this point, and I don't mean that as a compliment or a good thing in by any stretch. The way that they're kind of bickering at one another, it just feels, I hate to say it, but it feels Vince. Like I feel like it's something he'd have him do. I don't like it the way that it's coming off. Like, it's like it doesn't come off as two badass women fighters. Like, they're just coming off kind of catty in a way, at least to me. And I don't like it. And that like you said, that played right into the match. You know, those couple spots where Jada thought Lola hit her, they didn't really make sense. They do this all the time in WWE, and I guess wrestling really in general. You know, these type of angles. So, whatever. It's just a wrestling trope, but I don't know. I didn't necessarily care for that. The match, like I said, the match itself was okay. Fatal Influence, they're I don't know, they're not they're definitely not toxic attraction for the, they feel like, to me, like it's a toxic attraction light. Like that's what they're trying to recapture. That I'm going to call it lightning in a bottle. I don't think toxic attraction was necessarily lightning in a bottle, but I'm going to use that for the time being. Um, yeah, I think they're trying to kind of do that again, with them in a way. They're not obviously getting the machine behind them in the same way, but I feel like that's kind of what they're doing. Um, yeah, I guess it makes sense for them to get the win. Kalani, then bringing out Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Um, I mean, it's cool. I'm wondering, like, why they flew Bianca and Jade to Chicago to be on TV for like 2 minutes, but whatever. If that means we wind up getting some sort of a short feud that brings Jade and Bianca to NXT for a few weeks, to team up with Kalani to take on Fatal Influence, then hey, I'm for it. Why not? Let's do it. Um, but but otherwise, like I just thought it was a little strange. You just fly your women's tag champs out for a 2 minute 2 minute segment, where they do put Kalani over, obviously, and kind of give her a rub, but you know it whatever. It was okay. It was fine. It was my probably my least favorite match of the night. It wasn't that bad.
I mean, they were there to ultimately promote the match for next week, because they'll be in a 6-woman
Actually, yeah,
next
you're right.
week.
Yeah.
So that's their real reason for being there. Otherwise, I was thinking the same thing. Like, wow, this is just a little bit of stunt casting, and where does it go from here? But yeah, this one's going to next week, and who knows? They could have had a dark appearance after the show too, because the show went off the air so abruptly because they ran out of time. There's no overrun anymore, Nate. We love that. We love that it's just a hard out at 2 hours. We're big fans of that. Ms. TV, Obafemi, and Tony D'Angelo, they sat there and they said all the things we thought they'd say, and then they didn't fight. Nate, this was more a review of the feud. I don't know what
Yep.
else to say.
If you didn't bring it up, I would have forgot this was on the show. I'll be completely honest with you. And um, uh, yeah, it happened. It was there. I don't dislike what's going on with the feud right now. Matter of fact, I kind of like, and I talked about this last week. I like the fact that they're humanizing D'Angelo a little bit more, and he's getting away from that tough mob boss character, and he kind of showed some weakness and things like that. It gives you a reason to get behind him, and I think they're trying to get people behind him a little bit more as a babyface, and then the faction in general is babyface faction. Yeah, and I think the way that they went about that certainly accomplished that to a degree. But yeah, I mean, in a segment like this, you expect somebody to go through a table or get thrown out of the ring or have a potted plant thrown at them or something. Shout out to Mitch, the potted plant. I can't believe that just went through my brain 8 years later. But yeah, I don't really have a whole lot to say about the segment. I mean, it was there, it was fine. But I feel like they could have gotten a little bit more out of this Ms. TV segment than just really a rehash of what this feud has been.
David Hogan in the chat also said, Jada seems like a natural heel to me. Keeping Lola as a face against her seems like a dynamic that could work well. It's funny he says that because I would prefer the opposite. I would rather boo Lola myself. And Jada is a natural heel also. But I think Jada's got more badass baby face to her than Lola. I buy it more
100%
anyway
agree.
as badass baby face than Lola. As with Lola, I genuinely want to boo her. um, um, not because I dislike her work, but because she just comes off that way to me. So,
Yeah,
but I think,
I agree with you, and I can't put my finger on what it is about Lola, but
mhm.
I want to boo her, and I want, like in Jada, I want to get behind her. So I think it could be the presentation, but I can't put my finger on what it is with Lola either. But I'm in agreement with you 100%.
Can't believe I wasn't the first one to say I want to get behind Jada. But but nobody ever said that.
Nope.
Guys, let's
No.
just power through. But yeah, I think that these two are very versatile. And they will be very happy that they have people who can seamlessly switch from heel to face and back again. And I think these two are both that. Axiom and Fraser, they play video games and they lose on those, which is wild because they don't lose on TV. There you go. Punk and Ava, they were talking, and Lexus King had the Chicago Star, I guess is a thing, shaved into his head, and Punk was giving him some advice. Cora and Roxy had a scene, so maybe they are back together again on the heel side of things, much like Brett and Owen finally getting back together on the heel side of things. And Javon Evans put over Randy Orton, said that he likes him. So there you go. Next week we've got the tag championship with what's their names? Down Under. A-Town Down Under.
A-Town Down Under.
The North American Championship and the 6-woman tag match. So we've got all that. Don Hickshaw in the chat points out NXT trended number 1 a huge portion of the night, despite going head to head with the vice presidential debate and 2 Major League Baseball playoff games. Yeah, they really had to load this one up, and it was a lot to contend with. I noticed as this came together, as the VP debate got added to tonight, and this was the first night of the playoffs. But they put on a show that really felt like a PLE. Like, I kind of can't believe that isn't what I just watched. This just does not feel like all the matches. There were only 4 matches. They all got the half-hour blocks like they do in PLEs. They almost like clockwork are getting half-hour blocks for each match in PLE. So yeah, that's definitely something I noticed. So any other, I don't know if you hear my cat making those
an angry cat.
asinine noises. She's actually horny. Something's got to be done about that. She's finally getting. She's a baby.
What I was expecting you to say.
And she's getting that age. She is in heat, my friend. And
that's funny.
Yeah, the attention she's trying to get from me is because she can't get certain kinds of attention. So anyway, we are.
Yeah.
Any other segment talk?
Yeah, not really. I mean, I kind of like the fact that, CM Punk, when he was talking to Alexis King, was like, you know what, I forget how he worded it, but like he basically said, I'm only being nice to you because I respect your father or something like that. Yeah, I thought that was a nice little touch. But yeah, nothing really, nothing else really jumps out to me, to be honest with you. And I'm gonna finish as you're taking the drink, just because
Cool.
I can.
Thanks, buddy.
No problem.
Yeah.
I wasn't
taking
looking,
my water,
honest.
just hydrating. Very dry here today.
Hydrating.
Okay. Yes, indeed. That then I believe is our show. Yeah, we had 4 matches, 2 championship matches. We got more championship matches next week, and another show that is probably going to kind of feel like a PLE. We've got the 4 matches. Yeah, the 3 that I just mentioned, plus Evans versus Orton, which actually could be the main event.
With Randy Orton, it's either going to open the show or it's going to close the show.
I'm thinking open because Orton's a big deal, but there's no reason to establish Orton as a force at the end of an NXT show.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm kind of agreeing with you, open.
So yeah, I think open. So we will know in 166 hours or so. I'm Kelly Wells, and you can find me on social media at Spooky Milk. Nate
Lindberg. Check the things out I do at NateLindberg.com.
All right, that is our show. Welcome to the CW era. Cheers.